everybody, and welcome to our newest episode of Doodle and Chat with Friends. I am the host, Carrie Baughcum, and I'm so very excited to be here today for our next episode, our newest episode of Doodle and Chat with Friends. Tonight, I have educator Kat Crawford with me. She is an educator of over 20 years. During this time, her work has spanned through various roles and has been driven by a passion for student success and inclusion, accented with a flair, some singing, and maybe even a pair of yellow rubber gloves and a hairnet. Kat uses her learning experiences and education to give high quality, interactive, and engaging professional development to educators and districts that help them design innovative learning experiences, digital solutions, while facilitating professional learning, supporting and transforming school systems to enhance student engagement. She is currently the Education Learning Specialist at Figma and the Chief Executive Officer of How Might We. I am so very excited to welcome Kat Crawford to Doodle and Chat with Friends tonight. Let's get started. Hello.
Thank you so much. Hello. What a wonderful introduction. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It was so fun to write. I was like, look at all these things I get to say about Kat. And just what's that?
I was gonna say I should have brought a yellow glove.
I am hoping that the bowl lets us talk about that, the pair of rubber yellow gloves today. We'll have to see.
Okay.
Fingers crossed.
Me too.
So Kat already knows about the bowl that knows, but for anybody else who's new here, this is the bowl that knows, and we call it the bowl that knows because it always seems to give us just the right question for the person that we're talking to. And tonight there's questions in the bowl that knows that are specially written just for Kat. And so I'm going to turn my camera on and pull from the bowl that knows, ask questions, and Kat's going to draw along. She brought some of her own little drawing tools to draw along with. And I have my paper and pens, and we're going to doodle and chat all about Kat Crawford tonight.
I can't wait. Let's see what the bowl says.
I know. She's been resting, so we'll see if she's feisty or just chill. I don't know that she's ever really feisty, but you never know.
You never know.
Oh, I couldn't think of a better question to start with. With your start in musical theater performance, studying at Mount View Theatre School in London, England, your journey into education has not been a straight line. Why teaching?
Oh, that's such a great question. I would definitely say there was a lot of experience prior to going to college where I had a teacher role, whether it was as a director or like working at theater camps. So I think teaching was always a part of that. I was definitely one to orchestrate groups of children into activities, even when I wasn't like babysitting, right? It was just like the neighborhood. And, I was coordinating everyone and assigning them different tasks and building out projects. So I think that was always kind of like inherent in who I am. But I actually lived in New York City when 9/11 happened. And
wow.
I was working prior to that, trying to make things work in a theater space, but also kind of like balancing that with whatever needed to happen to pay the bills. And during that time, a great shift occurred in that I lost my job, and they were advertising on television that if you lost your job during 9/11 and had a bachelor's degree, you could come down to New York City Public School office, bring your bachelor's degree, and they would put you in a classroom and give you a salary and you could be teaching tomorrow. So 9/11 happened on Tuesday. I was teaching the following Tuesday at John Adams High School in Ozone Park, Queens.
Crazy.
Yeah, right? So that was definitely how it kind of got started. But I was very lucky that I had a lot of support systems in place there. So, they required you to take a lot of coursework, and you had a mentor teacher. I wouldn't say my mentor teacher was probably the best after, being in education for 20 plus years, but it was nice that that was something that was even happening then. And so there were enough support systems to kind of make that transition work. And it always just felt like the right place to be once I was there.
Nice. And so you started in English, yes?
I started in English, yep. And then I did a little of everything. It was back when highly qualified was kind of becoming a thing in 2001. You could teach one class subject completely out of your highly qualified area. So I taught a health class. I taught economics. I taught earth science. So there were definitely some interesting ones that they threw in the mix that I was not highly qualified to teach, but we had a really good time. We figured it out.
Because it was high school too, right?
Yeah, it was high school. And it was a unique high school. We had 4,000 students. So it was so big.
Cow, that's a lot.
I know, right? Half of the kids went in the morning and half of the kids went in the afternoon.
Really?
Yeah.
So how long was the school day then?
It started much earlier. So we had to be there pretty early in the morning. I want to say kids were starting at 7 and then they got out at 1 and there was a small overlap. And then the other group came in. I did the early morning. So I had juniors and seniors. And then a lot of them would go work in the afternoon. And then the freshmen and sophomores would come in. And then they also had night school. So that school was pretty much running all day, all night.
Wow. That's impressive. Also cool. Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty interesting concept.
Right?
Very versatile for kids that might need to work, So did you get to pick that you wanted high school?
No, no, there was no picking of any kind. It was a placement of this is where the need is. So we're going to put you there. And I stayed there until I decided to move back to Michigan, which is where I spent most of the years growing up and actually taught in the district I grew up in.
Oh, fun. And what did you teach there?
Theater. Yeah, I went back. Okay. Yeah, I taught middle school, which is my favorite.
I teach middle school. I have a soft spot. I mean, I shouldn't say soft spot. I love middle school. Yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely love middle school as the place I would go to in a heartbeat. I taught forensics as well. I don't know if that's a concept that everyone is familiar with because I know it's not the study of a crime scene. It's a speech and drama competition. So something I did in high school, but then also coached students to do that. And we went to state competitions. Our team won lots of state awards for that as well. And then we did musicals and one-act plays, all types of stuff. So it was a very demanding job.
I bet.
And yeah, a lot of fun. I love middle school because the drama is already baked right in.
Yes, it sure is.
I don't know if I can draw drama masks, so I'll leave that one up to you.
Yeah, that one, when you were talking about drama, that one entered my head and I was like, sure, unless I look it up on my phone, it's not happening. And that's why there's a microphone, because it's just a circle and some lines.
Very smart.
I mean, maybe the drama mask will make it in there. I don't think so, honestly. That one, that scares me. That's like a kind of drawing where I could look at it on my phone and it'll go either really well or it'll be unfortunate. So that's always one of those ones that, not the drama mask, but that kind of drawing, I'm kind of like, how brave am I feeling tonight?
Yeah. No, I mean, I always think that's why we have scratch paper, right? We just give it a go. I think I was telling you before we joined the call that I've been recently impressed with this. Apparently there's a museum in California that's a rejection museum. So you just put all of the projects or ideas you have that didn't make it for display. Yeah. And I love that because I think so often all we see are the things that go to market. Mm-hmm. And we don't see what leads up to that or how many steps it took to come up with a final idea or what didn't work, so that we don't make those same mistakes over and over again. So I'm here for the scratch paper. I'm here to give it a go.
Yes, I have learned in my years of Doodle and Chat as well as sketchnoting that crossing out something is you just take a deep breath and cross it out. And then everything just keeps going and it's okay.
Yeah.
even if it's not a fun feeling, it's all going to be okay. I love that story about yeah. So did you were there other educators in your high school when you started with your bachelor's degree that you could like relate with and like connect with? Did they that also were just kind of jumping in, no real teaching experience?
I think that yes, and they cohorted us like across the boroughs in to kind of train together, and so you got to meet other people who basically got displaced during 9/11 and were part of this program. Because they literally had a deficit of like 13,000 jobs in the district, and they were just trying to fill people wherever they could. And so
because of 9/11.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, I think just the district had huge deficits in different areas in general. Gotcha. And they saw an opportunity to like repurpose the people who were displaced during that time.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Huh. That'd be interesting to see, or it'd be interesting to hear how that grand experiment went, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally know. I was actually last year I had a workshop at South by, and I always love to give a little context of like, how did we get here, right? And so I had kind of a timeline slide because, you know, for folks that know a bulk of my work has been in juvenile justice, I want them to know like where the first school that I kind of started at, because a lot of the things that I wanted to accomplish came from the work that I was doing in those spaces. And it's just really important to kind of like give those kids and the things that I was experiencing at that time a shout out to where the future led. And so as I'm chatting about all of that, at the end of the session, this girl comes up and she was like, I went to John Adams High School. And I was like, wait, what? Because we're in Austin, right? And I'm like, you did? And she was like, I wasn't there when you were there, but like it was only a couple of years difference. But I just felt that's the first time I've ever met anyone else who went to that school. And it was just so powerful to see somebody, you know, who kind of like identified in that space and went on to work in education. I think that's wonderful.
That is wonderful. I do love how small the world can be sometimes. Those little happy accidents when we run into people or connect with them, you know?
Agreed.
For sure. All right. With rubber yellow gloves and the motto, in my kitchen, mystery meat is something you look forward to. You are Lunch Lady EDU. Why is this alter ego so important to you, and why should it be important to other educators too?
Oh, such a great question. It really didn't come out of being an alter ego by any means.
Okay.
I'll give a little backstory. I was asked to compete in a Google Bake Off at ISTE 2022, I think, in Philly. Is that right? Or 2023 in Philly. And everyone who was competing with me was dressing up as chefs. And I was thinking something about it just didn't sit right with me. Like there was just something I wanted to do, whether it was I don't want to dress like everybody else, or how often am I walking through a school seeing chefs? Something just didn't click. And so I reached out to the person who was organizing it, Stephanie Howell, who happens to be a great friend of mine, and said, hey, are you okay if I sort of flip the script a little bit? I'm thinking, she was like, yeah, go with it, whatever you want. So I started doing some research, and I think, you know, everybody wants to have a person out there that represents them. And I've always felt this in ed tech in the many years that I've done this work is, you know, when I first started going to expo halls or conferences or getting, you know, becoming an innovator, all those things, they never really had the shirt that fit, right? It was like, you could barely get an extra large, and that was not an extra large. And so I just never, felt like I could own the types of things that everybody else had. Like, they're like, oh, this is my jacket and this is my shirt. And I was like, I skipped it. I don't know that that's for me. It just felt like I didn't belong. I wasn't a part of that. And I definitely think we've shifted a lot when it comes to sizing in those spaces. But I feel like a lot of the women that I was meeting, it was all about like, a very specific look. And people use terms when I first started in this space around like booth babes, which just like, like it just gave me the ick,
Yeah.
And I wanted to really find something that would allow me to embrace what I loved about myself. And I wanted other people to see that they could love themselves, even if they weren't a booth babe, right? Or maybe we changed the definition of what a booth babe is.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at some content and I found an old clip that was a definite favorite when I was younger, which was Chris Farley's lunch lady character from SNL. And I ordered all the pieces on Amazon. I had a friend help me print the lunch lady onto the logo onto the apron. And I just thought this was a one-off. I'm going to go do this thing. It's going to be over. And I won, which was really cool and fun. And I really loved playing the character, took a lot of pictures with people. And then we invited to come back the next year to compete again. And from there, just people started saying like, oh, hey, will you come record a video for my school? Or will you come join this podcast or this global call? And so I was like, yeah, why not? Yeah, she's a lot of fun. There's something really special about getting to play somebody that's not you, but is adjacent to you, because you can say and do things that are just like a little outside of the realm of what you get to do.
Agreed.
So it's a lot of fun.
Yes.
And I was sitting at home last year, 10, 11 o'clock at night in the spring. I get an email. It's from ISTE. They're like, hey, we'd love for you to be a main stage presenter. I'm like, ISTE would not be emailing me at 11 o'clock at night. This is definitely spam. I don't know why they would be reaching out to me at all. So I kind of ignored it at first. And then I was like, is this really ISTE? They're like, yes. I was like, okay, all right. But I was asking big questions. Like when I met with them, I was like, why are you calling me? What are you looking for? Why me? And I think it was really powerful to hear that like people want a break. Sometimes they want to hear something that isn't going to be just like suits talking, right? It's just like something kind of fun, something kind of lighthearted. We're still having real conversations. We're still talking about real work. We're still doing deep learning, but it doesn't necessarily have to feel like LinkedIn all the time.
Yes.
So yeah, that's kind of how she got started. And, I have just been kind of having fun growing who she is. And honestly, she's a creative outlet for me. So like, I just recently created some fun sticker packs that I'm giving out at NC Ties, and they're very unique and kind of one-off. And that kind of stuff, like I don't really get to do in any of my other work quite. So it is a really good like creative outlet for me as well.
Yeah, I'm sure it definitely probably has ties to your roots, right? In theater.
Oh, absolutely.
And then your other passion, which is education. And now you get to bring both of them together. It's got to feel really wonderful.
It is. And I think just celebrating and like being happy with who you are. Like I always say that she's disrupting the thigh gap in education, or she's the first large language model. And I just think it's important that we're having more of those conversations, because I never really saw myself in the people that were doing the work that I wanted to do. But yet I saw teachers standing alongside me who felt and looked just like I did, right? And so I want to be that as much as I can, because it empowers people to go out and do those same things and disrupt the system.
I love it. How empowering.
Thank you. I will tell you, a hairnet is one of the hardest things to draw.
I can see in my head the wonderful caricatures of your lunch lady with the beautiful red hair, beehive hair, and the hairnet. And I'm like, I thought about it many times, just like the drama masks. And I'm like, I want to. It could fit right here over Kat, but I don't know. Maybe it'll show up. We'll see.
It's tough. I get it. Like I, that's one of the benefits sometimes of like when you go to conferences and stuff. We happen to have a caricature artist, which, by the way, 100 points for getting that word out, because I can't tell you the amount of times we try to say that word at the booth and it just never came out correctly. So I'm just patting myself on the back right now that we just got that out loud. But he did such a great job capturing a lot of us. I've been using that picture for way too long because it was so well done. And that is one of the things I would say to anyone ever going to a conference is like, find all like the free activation things that you can and go get those free headshots. Go get that free avatar that someone's drawing of you. That kind of stuff pays dividends. Like, people charge a lot of money to do that. And I'm still using it.
Yeah, for sure.
I will say, before I went to ISTE, they couldn't decide if they wanted to market me or the lunch lady. So it's like this big back and forth, right?
Interesting.
I was like, you should probably market the lunch lady. I think that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. But they were hesitant. And I understand, like, the brand might have seemed off to kind of put that out front and center. But I ended up doing headshots of both at the same time. So, but it was very last minute. So I found a guy who had like a headshot food truck trailer. Now, he didn't serve food. It was just like a food truck to take headshots in.
That's clever.
Right? And so I booked him, went out there. I did my headshots. I did my like normal headshots first. And then I was like, hey, I booked 2 because I have this alter ego. You literally would have thought that I had walked in there and was just like Marilyn Monroe. Like the whole vibe shifted when I became the lunch lady. He was just like, oh, I love that. Do this. Oh, yeah, move over here. That facial expression. And I was like, where was this energy in the last session?
Because I could use it. I could have used it.
Right? So there's just something that the lunch lady brings out in people that makes me giggle a little bit. And that was like such a prime example. And that's why I know that in a marketing space, like, that's always going to draw people and get them excited way more, right, than me over here. I attempted the hairnet. We'll see how it turns out.
I did. I gave you a Polaroid. There you are in your
little
I
love it.
Photo session.
I love it. I don't know if the hair that I drew under the hairnet looks like hair in a hairnet. Oh, I could probably do a couple more cross pieces. I was going to say, or it looks like, when they show like an alien with an exposed brain, because I'm getting exposed brain vibes a little bit there.
Look at you, Kat. That is fabulous.
Well, I love it. Can you come everywhere with me while I work and just affirm it? You're like, look at that email. That's a stunner. I love it. That customer doesn't even know who they're talking to. I love it. I need you. I need you.
I can be on your shoulder, your little.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Hey, go answer that Slack. They're going to need you in there.
You got this, Kat.
You got
You bring
this.
that idea. Show them your amazingness. Oh, how fun. All right, here we go, lady.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Ooh, this is a random one. What was your favorite childhood snack?
Ooh.
So you said you grew up in Michigan, right?
Yes, I did. Childhood snack.
I know.
Well,
I can't.
I'm going to take it all the way back to something that makes me giggle a little bit. You know how like now we know so much more about what we should be giving to babies and toddlers than probably in the early, very early 80s. But I frequent my baby book to see kind of like what information I can glean from there. And one thing that has really stuck with me is that under like favorite drink, it wasn't like milk or juice or water, things that I would be like, oh yeah, that's very, nowadays, I mean, juice, it would be like, what, huh? Oh my gosh, right? No, Dr. Pepper. I'm pretty sure that's not okay. But I'd kill for a Dr. Pepper right now. That sounds amazing. So I guess, it just always stays with you. Yeah.
Pepper.
I know. It kind of relates a little bit to the lunch lady in a weird way. So I often will have conversations with people about, what cafeteria food has been like a favorite of theirs for years.
Oh,
and
okay.
I think this is very interesting because you could like correlate this with the changes in like how we address like school food policy over time, right?
Yes.
So the school that I grew up in had either accepted $0 federal dollars or clearly was like not reporting accurately because for breakfast, we served cookies, chocolate chip cookie. They were barely baked. They were like half baked. You had to eat them with a fork or a spoon because they were still so raw, but they were hot. People ate 2 or 3 of these before going to class in middle school. I mean, it was all the rage. And you have to imagine what somewhere at the end of first period or the beginning of second period had to be like for every one of these teachers as the kids were just crashing like crazy.
And that's so funny because like when you talk about I'm sure different people have different experiences with their school lunches, but my favorite school lunch was pizza day because they also have mashed potatoes, and like so like it's a core memory for me, like school pizza and mashed potatoes. And there's nowhere else in the world except for school lunches where a child, and I know that I'm not the only person, would say, yeah, school lunch, we have pizza. And I loved the mashed potatoes that I got to eat with it. Like, so let's do carbs and carbs, right? Like, let's just pack it all together.
Let's pack it all together. Let's put the kids to sleep. This is going to be a great afternoon. Let's wheel in that VHS player. Let's watch a movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
No permission slips needed.
Absolutely
no
not.
Curricular connections.
No checking copyright. We're just, it's Disney. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
So true.
Yeah. Wow. that is definitely impressive. I will say, I briefly subbed elementary school, 3 days. That's how many days I lasted.
That's a lot.
And
that's more than I would have lasted.
Isn't it? I was pretty impressed. 2 things I learned about myself is that like sarcasm in elementary school just don't connect. And so like that middle school mentality just didn't translate for me. I just couldn't, they didn't get me, And then I just heard things. Like I have those teacher ears. I still have them. You know, you go out and like you're hearing every conversation in a restaurant kind of thing. And I would hear things and I'm like, should I stop that? Should I intervene? You know, and I just hear things like, my mommy says I can eat crayons because they're non-toxic. And I'm like, no, we can't eat crayons. You know, like I just, everything. Yeah, it's crazy. But I will say what I miss more than anything is, did you ever sub when they had like the, I'll call it like pre-AI robot phone calls? Do you remember this?
I never subbed, but I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay, so they'd be like, you'd pick up the phone at like 5:30 in the morning. They'd be like, hello, this is Bloomfield Hills School District calling for Kat Crawford. And I was like, who is that? So for a while there, I made all of my dinner reservations as Kat Crawford. Still one of my favorite versions of my name.
All right, Kat, here we go.
Okay, I'm ready.
Next one. Let's see what the bowl gives us. You have worked in school districts in over 45 states. Favorite state to eat in, favorite state to be a tourist in, and a state with the most memorable experience.
Okay, so this is why I'm glad I brought the Post-it notes. I'm too old for this.
I can
list of
repeat the
3.
question.
All right, so we got food,
Favorite food place to eat, favorite place to be a tourist in, and then the state with the most memorable experience.
Okay, I think I have it down. So I did a lot of work in Kentucky.
Okay.
And I would been all over the state, but typically I would fly into Louisville, which I know, I apologize for our Kentucky folks. Like I know I can never say that city correctly. But I'm trying. I am trying. And I will say, just in general, like the most amazing hospitality, like everyone who would welcome, you know, sometimes when you work, especially as like a consultant or like with a nonprofit or something, and you come out to visit someone, you kind of have 2 responses. You have someone who is like, hey, this is where my school is, and like these are the great hotels nearby, and we'd love to take you to dinner and let us know, blah, blah, blah. And then you have people who are like, we'll see you at 8. You know,
okay.
There's not usually a lot of in between.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, there's like, you're on your own. Don't get murdered. And then there's like, you know, hey, we'll hold your hand. You'll pick you up from the airport. We'll take you to the airport. We'll check into a hotel next to you. Make sure you stay safe and all that. You know, it's kind of that. So I always felt like I was coming home to family when I would go to Kentucky, but especially because they would plan these like massive dinners for everybody. And they were so inclusive of making sure that like every teacher and security officer, because this is when we were doing our juvenile justice work, could be present at dinner with us. Such great conversations. I have traveled on, I think out of the last 15 birthdays, I've only been home for 2. And a lot of them were spent in Kentucky. So they always like got me a cake and like just made it feel special. So definitely Kentucky. Hands down, they're incredible. And the food is just so good. Okay, tourist. So I'm going to say on this one, this is kind of a funny one because this is also the only time I ever got lost. So I was looking up a facility. I know, right? Yeah, that's the kind of, you don't want to lead with it, but if it comes up, you're gonna be like, it only happened once. So I was supposed to be doing some work in Florida. They said, you should fly into like Miami and like we're kind of close there. And they gave me the name, but juvenile justice facilities aren't often as searchable as a traditional public school.
Yeah.
And this one had 2 facilities with very similar names. One was on its way to the first key in the Florida Keys. And the other was like in the center of Miami proper. My brain was like, well, we're going to the Keys, baby. Like, obviously it's this one because that sounds way better. So I got up at some, crazy hour in the middle of the night to fly there. And I got in my rental car and I drove all the way down to that key. I got on a boat and like went out. It was some national park and like looked at all these fish in this glass bottom boat with all these people. It was something like $2 to like get on the boat. And then I was having like seafood outside with my feet in the sand on this key. Not a care in the world. I was like, I'm like a mile from where we're going to be doing this training tomorrow. It's all good. And then the next morning I showed up like 30 minutes before I was supposed to need to be there. I check in and they were like, oh no, you need to be at the one in Miami. And I was like, whoa. And they're like, yeah, no, it's probably going to be about a 3.5-hour drive in traffic right now. So I had to like rearrange the entire plan and like bring them lunch and apologize. But as a tourist, I still remember all of the fun stuff that I got to do. And it was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So fun.
Okay. Memorable experience.
I mean, that was pretty good. It was like a 2
That was
1.
pretty good. It was. I will say, okay, I do have a pretty interesting one. I was doing some work in Wyoming.
Okay.
And at the time we had Sprint, which is not a cell network in Wyoming. So when I would fly to Wyoming, I had 0 cell service. I could not make phone calls. I had no data. So I was just like off the grid, which I think is the point of Wyoming, right? So it was like kind of
probably
tracks.
Yes.
Yeah. So I flew into Cody, which is pretty far north, and then had to drive down to where this school was that I was working with, and did my work for the day. And as I was leaving, everyone's like, well, what are you going to do now? Like, what's your plan? And I was like, well, I don't know. I think I'd worked there, spent the night, and did like a half day. So I was like leaving a little early. And I was like, yeah, I don't fly out till tomorrow. So I'll just make my way back up to where the airport is and, whatever. And they're like, well, you should go to Yellowstone. It's very close. And I was like, oh, is it? And they're like, yeah, you should go to Yellowstone. You should absolutely go to Yellowstone. Yeah, and I was like, I mean, that sounds great. Yeah, no, I'd love to do that. So realizing I have no maps because I have no phone, I start thinking, well, maybe I should pull over and get an actual like paper map and figure out how to use one, right? So as I'm pulling into this gas station, I still have this picture, so I might have to send it to you at the end in case you can like tack it on for the link. But the entire wall of this gas station is a map of like the 3 roads, one leading to like Yellowstone, one back to the airport, and like one going in a different direction. I was like, I don't need a map. So I took a picture of what I assumed was, their version of GPS. And I was like, now I know how to get to Yellowstone. I'll be fine. What wasn't apparent on there is like how the mileage equated to the painted lines. Secondary thoughts, really. So about 7.5 hours later, I arrived at the gates of Yellowstone, had about 40 minutes of daylight, drove in, drove around for about 20 minutes, drove out. I was like, oh, I saw it. It was beautiful. It was great. Thanks, guys. So yeah, that was probably the most memorable experience, and all the things that I saw along the way. So it was really cool.
Yeah, they probably need to redefine their definition of it's really close.
Yeah, exactly. That might be really close in Wyoming.
Oh, that's true. It might be. It might be relative. I don't know how many hours it takes to get across the state of Wyoming.
That is a good follow-up question. You know, somebody's watching this going, it's 19.
I will say that was the easiest state of the three to draw when I looked it up because it's a square.
There you go. It's always good to have one of those.
Yes.
I'm butchering the picture of a phone, but I'm blaming it on the fact that I haven't seen a real phone in, I don't know, 20 years.
Yeah, a dial phone for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we have time for one or two more questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Design deaf and hard of hearing shadow performance program, middle school forensics course, working for the Texas Juvenile Justice Department. Why is being part of diverse and inclusive learning experiences important to you? It seems to be kind of a theme when I learned all about Kat Crawford. That seems to be something that has always been a part of your educational experience. So why is inclusive and diverse experiences important to you?
That's a great question. I don't think in the beginning of my work, I was intentionally seeking out to be finding ways to bring that work forward. I was drawn to the work. Mm-hmm. I happened to teach in a middle school that happened to be the deaf and hard of hearing hub for our county. And a lot of my students didn't have a lot of elective choices. And I was like, wow, there's always a spot in theater. Come on down, come on in, we got you. Uh-huh. And it was from becoming friends with my interpreters that were in the classroom with me that, were willing to teach me how to do shadowed performances. And then they were willing to stay after and be a part of the show. I didn't even know what a shadowed performance was. It wasn't something we ever learned about in theater. Are you familiar with it?
I tried to imagine what it was, but I don't really know what it is.
It's really cool. So a couple of interpreters will take on a bunch of different roles. So for example, when we did Annie, we had a person who was representative of Annie and all of the orphans. And then we had someone who was Miss Hannigan, and kind of some of the other adult female roles. And then we had a guy who kind of played all of the male roles. And so they own not only they dress in character, they kind of if they were an orphan, they just dressed like the orphan students dressed, right, for that performance. And then they act and kind of interact with the actors that they're shadowing. So it's like they're their shadow. So if Annie's out there singing, and she might look at her shadowed interpreter, and they might have a moment of crossover where they share, an emotion, a gesture, something to show the connectiveness. And it was something I'd never heard of before, but the opportunity to not only have a space for my students who were all taking my classes to enjoy the productions that we were putting on, but also to supply that for anyone in the community who wanted to be a part of it, I think was really huge. So then we would do shows, we would do little performances at graduation and stuff. And so all of the interpreters would record things for me to learn. And then I would go home and practice them. I still have some of the YouTube videos of me practicing, and then I would lead the students in kind of graduation or some kind of event where we would perform together. And those were always hilarious because they'd be like, Miss Crawford. And I'd be like, yeah, what's up? And they're like, So when you move your hand this way, just even just your pinky, it's a swear word. So that's why all the kids are laughing. And I'm like, oh, okay, so less of that. Okay, got it. But you just had to know that you were going to make a lot of mistakes and it was okay. And then I would say the juvenile justice work came at like a really critical time for me. I had moved to Austin. I had worked as an IB coordinator for a little bit in Round Rock and had an opportunity to flex some of the degrees I'd been working on in ed tech. And I saw this, job to co-work for the Texas Juvenile Justice Department. And I'm like, who needs high quality instructional materials and ed tech tools more than students who school didn't work for the first time, right?
For real.
So I was like, I want to do this work. And from there, just kind of got introduced to a nonprofit that was doing it and spent 13 years supporting that work at a national level. And that led me to working in all different types of schools. And then I kind of took a step back because it can be really hard to work on the end of the school to prison pipeline. So I wanted to see if we could impact a little more change earlier in the cycle and maybe prevent students from even getting to a detention center or, getting arrested in the first place. And a lot of that just comes from like, how do we change and shift the culture inside of classrooms that students are in every day, and how early do we have to change those policies and the ways that we, here, I'll give you such a striking example. I do a lot of focus groups, and taking that data from students who are inside of a facility, but are talking about their homeschool, which is their traditional public school. One thing that I would hear over and over again is, my teacher says, I've already said that, I'm not repeating it again. And then when I say to them, well, how is that different than where you are now? And they're like, well, I didn't hear them, I didn't understand. And now this person is willing to not only say it again, but say it differently. Mm-hmm. And then find another way, and then find another way. And I just think about some of those things, and I know why we do them, right? I get it. I'm a mom. Do you know how many times, mom, oh, okay, all right. I get it.
Yes.
But I was like, you don't have to start your sentence with mom. I know who you're talking to. I get why we do it, but I don't always think we know who it's excluding, especially when it comes to a lot of our learners. And I think although I made it through my school system, I didn't love school as much as I could have. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it tapped into all the things that I was good at. So I was always interested in making it better and changing it in a way that would have helped everybody, not just me.
I love it.
Thank you. I did a keynote once where I brought all of my report cards. They were like receipts up on the screen. And I was like, is anyone else surprised by this? Talks too much in class? What are you talking about?
I have report cards like that as well. My dad said, your teachers said you literally would never shut up, Carrie. I was like, well, what can you do?
I mean, it was 9:05 and I already had 2 marks for talking on the board, and I only got 1 more for the rest of the day. So we knew this was going to be over before 9:30.
I know. And sometimes that kind of stuff too, it's just like, you either embrace who you are, like you're a talker. Okay, we can work on systems to, structure it up a little bit, but sometimes you're just a talker, and let's just embrace that. And hearing you say the repeating thing, and I absolutely can relate as a mother and as an educator. But I hope as education develops, we also start to realize that the students that we serve are also human beings. So like, if an adult asks you to repeat it, you would repeat it for them. So how dare you not repeat it or not help facilitate that to them, or give them the tools to ask questions, or put visuals up so they don't have to ask you 5,000 times. So sometimes the kids asking you those questions over and over again is not a kid problem. It's a teacher problem, or a how you're setting up your classroom problem. And so I hope that as we, move forward and keep progressing in education, that teachers become, continue to be more reflective, and that sometimes it's not always the kid,
Yeah. Well, and here's the crazy thing. I worked at the Schlechte Center for a little bit, and one of the things that Phil Schlechte says is that there's no such thing as an unmotivated person. Everybody has motives, and you just haven't figured out what those motives are. And no, they're not only guns or car, whatever you think that those motives are, or video games, or yes, I'm sure those are motives for some kids, but there are other motives. There are other things that motivate kids. And I think anytime someone asks you to repeat something, they're engaging. Mm-hmm. If they want to know what you said and they want to know more, why would we not want to give that to them?
I love that. Yes.
That's huge, right? It's the kid. I'm more concerned about the person who's not asking that question.
Yeah.
And what I do to bring them into the fold, and what I need to get. I want that kid who's going to ask me, what did you say? Mm-hmm. I'm worried about the kid that's completely disconnected from what's happening. Yeah. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing too. We had that in juvenile justice in South Carolina. There was this young man, and every day he would run to the school right after breakfast, and he wasn't supposed to be at the school yet. And he would bang on the doors. And they'd bring him in and they'd be like, look, we cannot open the school yet. He's like, I really got to get to the library. I finished this book last night. I got to get to the library. I got to get a new book because I haven't had a book to read, and I need to read a book right now. And I need to get into the library, and I need to get a new book. And I'm like, let this kid get a book. Let him get 2 books. You know what I mean? Why is this an issue? Getting that will self-soothe, and he'll be able to go off and do what he needs to do. Yeah. And then we're like, these kids don't want to read. And I'm like, and when they do,
I know.
We're like, you're annoying.
Oh, our world sometimes it's just doesn't make sense.
I know. I think it's about a shift in perspective. I think it's easy, to look at something and react to it. But that's one thing that I think design thinking really helped me reframe. And one of the reasons why I just love what it has done to kind of capture and given me a framework for what I was already thinking, but now I can express it and share it with people in a much more manageable way. And just understand that there is more than one way to look at something, and there's the student's perspective, right? And then there's the teacher's perspective, and the admin and the behaviorist, who's running after this kid's perspective. And when you look at all of those things, right, the motives of what each person is bringing to the table are so unique, and we can really reframe how we look at the situation just based on stepping into all of those different people's shoes.
100%. So well said. All right, I have our last question for us, or for.
Oh no,
you're the one doing heavy lifting. I'm just here for the drawing and for you. Oh, I'm so happy we're ending on this one. What does a great work day, a great family day, and a great you day look like?
Oh, okay. Still going with that perimenopause brain. So we're going work day.
I am there with you as well, age-wise.
Family day.
The fog does lift, I will say that.
Nice, I hope so. And then a you day. Wow, I like that. For me, I took a Strength Finders test a couple years ago, and I learned that my number one strength is an acronym I didn't know existed. But has now come to define me, which is woo. So I get energy and find passion from winning others over and connecting with people. I get just as much excitement from seeing my best ed tech friend that I haven't seen in 6 months at a conference as I do from having an unforgettable conversation with a random stranger in an elevator. So for me, a good work day is any time that I can get out and I'm connecting with people, and building relationships and kind of creating those moments, and winning people over in whatever capacity that might be. That might be presenting, that might be listening to others and collaborating with them. That is my ideal work day for sure. I would say my ideal family day would probably be right now. So my kids are like grown and flown. So really just anything that like brought everybody together in the same space is really powerful. I think the last time we were all together was last year, Mother's Day, but now I have one in a different state. I have one just about to graduate from college. So I know that those things are going to continue to shift and change over time. So I'm just always looking for any opportunity for us to be in the same space and kind of create new memories at this stage in our lives. So like that to me is like the perfect family day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a you day. So I love to take adventures. So sometimes I'll like get up and be like, oh, today I'm going to go to Houston and like go do something great, like go to a stationery store I've always been wanting to visit, because why not drive 3 hours to go to a stationery store and try this new restaurant and go see a friend. So I think a you day for me would be taking an adventure like that, trying new things and, not really having any set expectations for what that's going to look like and being flexible to kind of go with the flow and whatever the day brings. Might even be like hopping on a plane. I love to travel like so much. I would travel every day if I could. And when I get to the airport, I have the same feeling that you maybe got as like a kid when you would go on a trip. Like every time I fly, I'm like, oh, I'm on a plane again. Like it's just, yes. And for someone who used to fly like almost every week for a while, that's saying something. So
I was thinking that same exact thing. I'm like, you're in a really good, career niche.
I know, right? It's so perfect. So I love traveling. I have so many friends that I met when I went to the Champion Symposium in Singapore, and I've been promising that I will come visit all of their 19 countries. So that would definitely be a you day, but I'd need like a you week at least to get over there and do what I need to do to kind of see everybody and come back. But I think those would be the things that would probably be the best days for me.
Wonderful. I love it. I love it. And I feel like, just those 3 scenarios kind of just encompass everything that you shared about yourself as well, like wanting to connect with people. I mean, you've more than done that, and the work that that you shared with us, and then family. We didn't talk a lot about it, but it's definitely, a part of you and who you are. And then the traveling. I mean, obviously you've had a lot of opportunities to touch a lot of different lives and share stories in a variety of different places. That makes it really special for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, I always joke that like I don't really know anyone in my backyard. So if my plane landed and touched on in any city in the US, I'd know exactly who to go to dinner with, but I don't actually know anybody in my own town. Kind of crazy, huh?
That is crazy. That's crazy and awesome all at once, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being a part of Doodle and Chat. This was just absolutely wonderful for me. I appreciate your time and your stories, and I loved learning about you so much.
Thank you. Same. I'm so honored when you reached out. Like I said, was a fan, and I've got a lot of doodling to practice, but I think I butchered a telephone, but I got some lunch lady stuff going on there.
You did. You did.
Went with your microphone. Got a lot of words, so I need to get more into imagery, but
you were very brave and got a lot written down. It can be really hard it's one of that you don't want to see my face. It's one of the little things that's intentional with Doodle and Chat is we do love when our guests draw with us. It's supposed to be a little bit, make you think and but also make you uncomfortable a little bit, but it's part of the magic, we hope, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So friends that were with us here live or are joining us later, if you were here with us and you decided to put your pen to paper and draw with us while Kat shared all about herself, snap a picture of your Doodle and Chat and share it out on your favorite social media platform with hashtag Doodle and Chat so that we can see all the fun that you were a part of here on Doodle and Chat with Friends. And then be sure to watch or you can go into the show notes to connect with Kat on her social medias and mine as well. And then you can follow this YouTube channel or connect with me on my social media so that you never miss the next episode of Doodle and Chat. Thank you so much, Kat, for tonight. And we'll see everybody next time.
Thank you. Bye, Carrie.
Bye.